Hi! In this video, I'm going to show you just how quickly you can create an optimized Salesforce plan for one of your customer specialties with the Promo Planner 4. So I have here a Promo Planner database, fully loaded with all the data it needs to build profit curves for all the customer specialties. We have all the financial data loaded. I'm showing you the brand sales forecasts here. And we have all of the customer data loaded too. This is the customer value assessment that you're looking at now. So if you're wondering, how do I get to this stage? Don't worry, we have the tools to help you. We have Excel-based data capture templates and guides, all crafted by us, using the 15 years or more of data capture experience that we have gained with pharma companies across the globe. And in addition, we have automated processes for verifying and loading the data into the Promo Planner itself. So with all the data loaded, we can move to the Promo Planner planning board. Here it is. And we can start planning our Salesforce deployment. Now I'm going to use the cardiologists as the example customer specialty. So here we are on the planning board. The Promo Planner has calculated just how much we can afford to invest on our cardiologists. This is our investment recommendation, and it's represented by this axis here. Now the bottom axis represents our cardiologists, and there are 901 of them. The curve represents the customer concentration. So these cardiologists on the left here represent our most valuable, and these down here on the right are our least valuable. Now, all the non-Salesforce channel promotional spend that we've already declared in our base case has been transferred automatically here too. We can see that at the bottom with these green bars. In fact, it's a little easier to see if I zoom in a bit. There we go. Now here on the right, we have chunks of annual calls that we can choose to deploy from, in this case, our cardiovascular team, which I've selected up here. So we've loaded the costs of these reps and their call productivity, so we know their cost per call. And we can scale these annual chunks of calls on the same scale as the investment recommendation over here. So now we're ready to plan. All we need to do is place these chunks of effort onto the planning board, and our objective is to turn as many of these red tiles green as we can without creating too many additional red tiles. So let's go. Now I can see immediately that my chunk of 30 calls and my chunk of 20 calls are both too large to fit on this investment curve. And I know that because they're red at the top. Deploying either of these two chunks would cost more than the recommendation that I'm being given. But my next chunk of 18, that's not red at the top. I could deploy that one. I could afford that one. So I'm going to pick it up, dragging and dropping with the mouse, and drop it on top of my investment curve. Here we go. And now that I've selected my frequency of 18, I can select my reach by moving these little triangles at the bottom. So I'm going to set it right to the top there to my most valuable cardiologists, and I'm going to use this one here to set it around about there. Now, I don't want to set it over here because that produces too many red tiles, and I don't want to put it over here because it produces too few green ones. So somewhere around about there looks just about right. So I have plenty more red tiles down here to convert to green. So if I follow along the top, I can see that I could afford to fit a chunk of 12 in there. So I'm going to pick up my chunk of 12, put that down there, and do exactly the same thing. Use my little yellow triangles to set the reach. Again, I don't want it over here I don't want it over there. I want it somewhere around about there. So there's my second chunk. That looks fine. I can carry on the process, and I can see that I could fit a chunk of 6 in there. So let's put that on. There we go. And I'm going to drop that one. I think I'll drop that one at about there. So that leaves a few more left here. So I'll pick up my chunk of 3, and that can go on. I can join those together. Now, where do I drop this? Well, I don't want to drop it over here, because I can see from my little balance meter at the top that I'm overbalanced. In fact, I'm over-invested if I go this way. So I want it to be somewhere round about there, where I can see I'm very nicely balanced. So what have I done? Well, I've produced, in just that short time, a 4-segment Salesforce deployment plan. And I know that over the long term, this investment is going to produce for me something in the order of £1.2 million in this case. So that's it. I've done it. Now, if I want some more metrics, well, I can do that. If I click up here, the Promo Planner will take me to the Specialty Summary Report. Here it is. And on this Specialty Summary Report, if I drill down a little bit, let me get to the cardiologists. Here they are. I have 4 pages of metrics. And as you can see, all kinds of information here, ending up with the long-term return on investment for the promotional plan that I've just created. In this case, 283%. So that's it. I've created a 4-segment Salesforce plan in just a few minutes for my cardiologists. The Promo Planner has been used successfully in thousands of exercises across 92 countries for pharma, biotech, generic and medical devices companies over the past 15 years. Business applications range from portfolio optimization to pre-launch planning, mergers and much more.